Good morning, everybody. It's August 5th, 2021, and welcome to the New Possibilities Hour, our weekly webinar part of the Will Work for Food project, founded by Natalie Armstrong-Motan in the spring of 2020. There's no charge for these great webinars. Rather, we ask people to contribute to a food bank to help fight food insecurity if they like what you see. And how can you not like what you see on these great webinars? Over the last year and a half, our audiences in the legal, mediation, and arbitration communities have been so generous to help fight food insecurity in honor of our great speakers and Natalie's great efforts. Natalie, one of my favorite parts of the webinar each week is when we talk about the running total, how much people have contributed to food banks so far in honor of our great speakers. Please share the news.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I love when Jeff asks me this question, and I've got it here on my magic note card. Today we have to date recorded donations in excess of $153,065. And I want to say thank you to all of you who took me up on my offer last week of letting me know that you made a donation to my home state, the Idaho Food Bank. And my offer to match dollar for dollar any donation that you made to the Idaho Food Bank, I matched it. So thank you so much for your generosity, everybody. But today, Ali has asked for us to make a donation to the West Side Food Bank in Los Angeles, and I'm putting that information in the chat so that you have that information. It's at www.wsfb.org, West Side Food Bank.
Okay, that is just great. And with that, let's get on to our main attraction, our wonderful dynamic speaker today. Ali Binazir is a happiness engineer. He's an author, a speaker, and a behavioral change specialist. He's written 4 books, including The Tao of Dating, The Smart Woman's Guide to Being Absolutely Irresistible, the #1 rated dating book on Amazon for 7 years running. Ali has a bachelor's degree from Harvard College. He's an MD. He got his medical education at UC San Diego School of Medicine. He has a master's of philosophy from Cambridge University in England. Ali is formerly a consultant at McKinsey. He coaches speakers and has given 3 TEDx talks by invitation: Awaken Creative Genius, Love and the Empowered Woman, and Happiness Engineering. Today we're going to hear about super charisma. Who couldn't use a little super charisma? Ali, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jeff, for that amazing introduction. And welcome, everybody. So I understand you're coming from various time zones in the world. So where I'm here in Los Angeles, it's 8 a.m. And wherever you are, please put in the chat where you are and what your time zone is. And the goal is to make this as interactive as possible. Usually I do these seminars live in person. I get to see you face to face. I make you do stuff, stand up, jump around. And this is about public speaking and charisma, which means that I'm going to have you do things that will make you more charismatic and involves a little bit of speaking in public even. So may I exhort you to turn your cameras on, if at all possible. If you are having a bad hair day, I totally understand. I'm having a no hair day again. So go ahead and turn on the camera. Do not be shy. And that's how you're going to get the most out of this whole seminar, by having you participate. I'm conveying to you information, but the goal is to turn that into knowledge so that it stays in your head and eventually becomes transformation by having you do the stuff. So we can only get to that transformation if you actually do the stuff and play along with us. So anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome Karen from Vancouver, Tracy. What do we got here? Yeah, Jeff in Los Angeles. Good Lord, we have Natalie from Normandy. That's amazing. Lee from Traverse City, Michigan, John from Miami. All right, this is fantastic. So as we're getting settled in here, let me tell you a little story. I'm 13 years old and I am at Mehrabad Airport in Tehran, Iran, about to leave my country forever. Now, here's the deal. There's this little war thing going on. I'm about to be drafted, and my mom's thinking, boy could blow up on a mine. I think we should get the hell out of here and start our life somewhere else, like, say, Los Angeles. But the Islamic Republic regime is not down with this. So they want to make sure that people who are leaving the country come back. So they check all your belongings for any money you're hiding, diamonds, valuables. But we still need to restart our life. So we're like, okay, where do we hide these $50, $100 bills? And at the time, I'm 13 and I know everything. So I tell my mom, hey, why don't we hide it in my shoe, like under my insole? They're never going to look there. Mom's like, all right, it's the best idea I've heard, so let's do that. So we go through the first phase of the inspections. They, go through all of our luggage and it passes. And there's one more phase left. There's this little booth, and that's where they do the full body search. So, there's the booth. I walk in there and there's this kid. He's like, I don't know, 22, 23 years old. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? Make a lot of friends this way? And he's like, yeah, well, welcome. Can I do the inspection now? I'm like, sure. So, I'm trying to break the ice there, make it a little less nervous. He does his thing and he's pretty much done. And I'm like, all right, that went reasonably well. And he's like, oh, wait, I have to do one more thing. Would you mind taking off your shoes? Shoes? Are you kidding me? So at that moment, my entire life flashed before me. What happened and what was possible. On the one hand, there's a life of me having my shoes taken off, him finding the money and saying, oops, sorry, we can't let you leave the country now. I stay, I get recruited, drafted to go to the front, and I don't know, I die young or something silly like that. And on the other hand, he does not find the money in the shoe, and we get through there. We get on our flight to Spain. We get our visas. We go to Los Angeles. I go to University High School. I go to Harvard. I go to UCSD Medical School, and I'm here before you talking about this stuff. So for whatever reason, at that moment, I said, oh, wait, didn't you already check my shoes? And the kid gets confused for a second. And then his boss says, hey, Hassan, come here. I need you. He walks out. As soon as he walks out, I reach down, pull into my insole, pull out the $50, $100 bills, stick it in my pocket, put the shoes back on, and stand there like nothing has happened. A few seconds later, the kid comes back and he said, where were we? Oh, yes, can I see your shoes? I'm like, sure, no problem. So I take my shoes off. And of course, he takes the shoe and he completely eviscerates it, takes out the insole, looks at everything. This is what he does all day long. So that wasn't such a great idea I had. But the great idea was that I piped up and said something. And that is what this seminar is about. Because as a result of my saying something, I bought a little bit of time. And as a result, got through that checkpoint, got to the Spanish embassy in Madrid, got the visa, got to Los Angeles, and here we are now. That was a hinge moment that if I did something, my fate would go this way. And if I didn't do anything, my fate will go that way. And in your life, you will find that there are many of these hinge moments that have a disproportionate impact upon the course of your life, the trajectory of your whole existence. And more often than not, those hinge moments will involve you saying something. It's almost never about you standing there like a potted plant. It's almost always you speaking in public. So I'm here today to help make sure that you know how to master those hinge moments and have them go the way that you want to. So when I speak to entrepreneurs, it's about their one opportunity in front of a panel of potential investors to raise some money. Convince them that plunking down a whole bunch of dough on a completely indeterminate venture is a great idea. For trial lawyers, mediators, it's all about being in that meeting and making that meeting go the way you want it to convince whoever's in front of you that, yes, this is the way forward. And this also happens with teachers. Teachers are in a process of constant persuasion with their audience. They're trying to take this new generation of people and teach them new stuff and elevate them and raise their trajectory. So now, as I'm teaching teaching you this stuff today, I will also be demonstrating it as I teach. All the principles, I'll be doing them live as they're happening. And so what did I just do? I just told you a story. Now, if I were to be honest about it, the story didn't really have a whole lot to do about public speaking. I mean, I'm in a booth with a dude, right? But it was a vehicle for me to convey a whole bunch of different qualities about myself. I basically unloaded my resume in there for you very sneakily. And also, I brought you to my side, right? Because it was a story about an underdog. I'm a kid, right? We've all been kids, and all kids are pretty much underdogs. So I told you a little underdog story. And also, it got your attention, okay? And this is what I want you to do. I want you to tell stories. I'm going to give you 3 big principles today, 3 overarching themes. And the main one is tell stories. No data dumps. When I'm coaching entrepreneurs, they love their data dumps. Hello, we are a B2B in the cloud, brand new fangled operating system, blah, blah, blah. Hey, who cares? Nobody cares. They've heard that story 10,000 times before. Where's the emotional connection? Because the way you persuade people is by emotion, and then later on, people will employ their rationality in order to ex post facto justify their decisions. So stories, that's how you engage your audience, okay? So that's the main vehicle through which you're going to do it. And I'm also going to give you the principles of super charisma. And that's about using 3 different qualities through 3 different channels that you're going to be conveying to your audience. So imagine, for example, that it's 150,000 years ago and we're all hunter-gatherers. You're walking in the savannah and you see a stranger. What's the most important thing you need to know about the stranger? Well, is this guy going to kill me, right? Friend or foe? I've got a spear, they've got a spear. If we get in a spear fight on the way home, that's just going to ruin the entire day. So, friend or foe. So, at the very deepest level of your unconscious mind, when you encounter somebody new, your brain goes, okay, is this person on my side or not on my side? That's what we call warmth. And warmth is one of those 3 qualities you want to present. The second is, okay, friend or foe, but can this person hurt me? Okay, if there's some kind of midget, doesn't matter how big their spear is, probably not going to hurt me. But if some big old Goliath, okay, now I've got something to worry about. So that's strength. So first is warmth, and then strength. Is this person capable? Does this person have competence? And finally, presence. So when you're standing in front of a bunch of people and they don't know you from Adam, they are registering these 3 qualities instantaneously at an unconscious level. Is this person warm? Is this person capable? And is this person present? And so today I'm going to give you examples of how to convey those 3 qualities through what I call the 3 channels. The 3 channels are the visual channel, this magnificence that you see before you. The second is the vocal channel, this mellifluous and deep baritone voice you're hearing. And finally, there is the verbal channel, the actual words I am using. So, warmth, strength, presence through visual, vocal, verbal. And I'm not going to unload all of that onto you because that's 3 of them, and 3 of those, that's 9. It's a whole bunch of stuff, but I will give you some highlights. Is that cool? You guys ready? Yes? Okay, good. So to start, I'm also going to give you a way to remember all this stuff such that if a week from now I say, hey, what were the top 10 ideas from my talk, you would be able to actually recount them to anybody. Does that sound crazy? Well, if you don't think that's crazy, this is crazy. I'm going to just randomly talk about 10 different things right now. And seemingly unrelated items, and you don't even have to remember them. And here they are. So let's see. Gun. Talk about shoes. So shoe. Behind me, there's a door. I see trees out there. Let's see. There's a beehive on that one tree. Hive. Let's see. Sticks on the ground. Up above, there's heaven. And let's see. I see a crate out there in the distance, and wine, and let's just randomly say a pen. All right, 10 random items. Don't have to remember those, but they may show up later on in the talk today. All right, good. How y'all doing? You guys good? Have I confused and bewildered you just a little bit yet? Okay, fantastic. So first, let's talk about strength. I want you all to have a lot of strength. And the number one principle I told you is to tell stories, okay? The number two principle is minimize distractions. And when you make yourself small and you touch yourself and you do things that diminish your strength, that can be distracting. So today I want to give you a bunch of principles of how you can convey strength through the visual channel. What are the correlates? What are the things that make your audience go, oh yeah, this person is strong? So I'm going to do things wrong first, and then I want you to pipe up and tell me, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing that's making you cringe so much? Hi, yeah, my name is Dr. Ali Binazir, and I'm going to tell you about like visual strength and stuff. And yeah, and you guys are going to be like so incredibly charismatic when you learn. It's going to be amazing. So, all right, what am I doing wrong? Pipe up here. Unmute yourself and tell me what makes this so incredibly cringy.
Crossing your arms in front of you.
Okay, so I'm like going like this, right?
Yeah.
All right, what else? Here, I'll do a sideways view.
No eye contact.
No eye contact, that's great. What else?
Speaking down instead of forward.
That's good. All these things are good. Okay, what else?
Kind of a cringing posture.
Yeah, okay, so, and then what else? What was I doing with
Squeaky
my
voice.
I mean, that's, yeah, there you go. Okay, good. So the point is that you all get this at an intuitive level. You understand what I'm doing wrong. All I'm going to be doing today is making that implicit knowledge explicit. And so what I was doing here was I was going into a protective pose, right? I was curving my spine. I was diminishing my posture, and I was going up into a high reedy voice, and I was not making eye contact. And these are all the anti-correlates of strength. So what I want you to do now is to stand up. Stand up, everybody, because we're going to do the first exercise of the day. All right, good. So stand up, and if you're not in the camera, that's fine. The point is to just do the exercise. All right, stand up if you can. And what I want you to do is to do the swimmer stretch. So you go like this, and if you have sweat stains, oh well. And here we go. And pull your arms like this, all the way up, super high. And stand on your tiptoes and hold that for like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bring it down. And then maintain that spine, maintain the straightness of that spine, maintain that height. You just gain like ½ an inch in height right there. And notice what it feels like to have your chest forward, your spine stacked, your arms to the side like that. And how much more powerful you feel when you do that. And from now on, whenever you do an exercise, I'm going to do it before and after. Like before, how do you feel? And then afterwards, how do you feel? So that should make a big difference. So this is the posture you want. You want to have a stacked spine, head up. Imagine that you have a string connected to the very top of your head. It's pulling you up. You're hanging from the ceiling, and boom, that already makes you feel a lot better. All right, the other thing that makes you feel and look strong from your audience's point of view is to take up more space. Imagine you have the silverback gorilla, 600 pounds, and what's it doing? It's not going like this, shrinking, it's going like this, right? So take your hands and put them at a 45-degree angle from your body, super exaggerated, and then widen your stance to wider than shoulder width, which may seem exaggerated and crazy at first, but I want you to do it so you can feel it. Okay, so go like that, and also spine straight, do all those things, and notice how that feels. Notice how much more powerful you feel when you do that, okay? Now, this is not the posture you're gonna use when you talk, but I want you to exaggerate it so you get a sense of what that's like, and then bring it in a little bit and maintain that sense of taking up space, like you are that 600-pound gorilla taking up all that space, because powerful people are comfortable taking up space, okay? What you want to be avoiding are self-soothing movements, okay? So what I was doing when I was doing it wrong, I was in a protective crouch. I was protecting myself from the spears and rocks coming in. I was touching myself, which is a self-soothing gesture, okay? And I had my head inclined. So do not do any of those things. I must never see you touching yourself in public when you're speaking. I mean, there's a reason why people say that's a bad idea. So no touching. This is the only gesture that's allowed. This is okay, right? But even touching your hands like this, that diminishes your strength. And your hands must never, ever go into your pockets. Sew them up if you must. Don't put your hands in your pockets ever, okay? And eye contact. Somebody mentioned that I was looking down. So what I want you to do is to maintain eye contact with your audience. So I don't actually see you guys in person here, but what I am doing is I'm looking directly at the camera. And that is how you simulate direct eye contact. You don't want to be looking at the screen, you want to be looking at the camera. But when you're in person, look people in the eye and hold it for a count of 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Next one, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3. So holding that gaze also conveys a lot of strength, but also warmth. Okay, good. So questions about this part? Yeah, that's funny. All right, any questions about
Ali, I have
visuals?
a question. So a
Yes.
lot of what we're doing is online, and much of the time we're seated. I notice you're standing, but if we're in a legal proceeding, a mediation, whatever, we may be going for 6, 8, 10 hours at a time. How is it different?
Okay, I missed a little bit of that, but I think I got the gist of it. So you're doing this stuff for 6 to 10 hours a day. And so my recommendation is, if you can stand, standing is better for 2 reasons. One, first of all, you get the full height of you and you just feel more powerful when you're doing it. And 2, hand gestures. There have been a lot of studies that show that hand gestures are a big part of persuasive ability. So when you're sitting down, we tend to have more restricted hand gestures, but when you're standing up, you have the full range available to you. So to the extent possible, I would encourage you to stand. And of course, if you need to take breaks and sit down, that's fine too. But standing definitely beats sitting. And it just makes you look a lot more imposing. So as I'm standing here, the camera is a slight decline from where I am. So I have to look down at it a little bit. And that is subtly perceived as power too. Basically makes you look like you're 9 feet tall. Standing is significantly better than sitting, but you may introduce breaks and sit if you as necessary.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you must sit, if you have like an injury or something, then just make sure that you can use the full range of your hand motions. The hand motions are very important. All right, good. Any more questions?
I have a question. So you're suggesting standing up for all of the meetings, or only meetings that we have to present?
Oh, if you're presenting, you should be standing. If you're sitting, it doesn't make any difference. Is that the question?
The mediation sessions, for example, there is no presentation. There's just regular dialogue going on.
So you're saying like if there are slides and people can't see you?
No, I'm saying that in meetings that nobody is presenting, but people are having conversation and they're having a dialogue. Do they need to be standing up for that?
I would still stand if possible, if it's an online thing, because it makes a difference in the way you convey yourself. So all of this is about embodied cognition. And embodied cognition is how the behavior of our body translates into how we think and how we feel. And standing is just a much more powerful stance, quite literally.
Okay, thank you.
So my bias is towards standing. Okay, great. So let's keep on going here, because a big part of this is about having a great voice. So I want to convey to you some of the principles of vocal strength. So this is definitely live exercise here. And first off, what I want you to do is take your 2 fingers like this, okay, and put it on your nose. And I want you to say, this is what I sound like when I speak from my nose.
This is what I sound like when I speak from my nose.
There you go, just like that. So yes, please feel free to open your mics, because that way we get a whole chorus of people speaking nasally. Here we go. Okay, so this is what I sound like when I speak from my mouth.
This is what I
This is
sound
what I
like
sound
when I
like
speak
when
from
I
my
speak
mouth.
from my mouth.
There you go. This is what I sound like when I speak from my throat.
This is what I sound like when I speak from my
Speak
throat.
from my throat.
This is what I sound like when I speak from my chest.
This is what I
What I
sound like
sound
when I
like
speak
when
from
I
my
speak
chest.
from my chest.
And finally, put your hand on your belly and go, this is what I sound like when I speak from the deep rumble of my money-making belly.
This
This
is what I
is what I
sound
sound
like
like
when
when
I
I
speak
speak
from
a deep
the
rumbling of my money-making belly.
Belly.
All right, fantastic. So did you notice the difference? And all you had to do was like point to the part and speak from there. And you're like, oh, so how persuasive do I sound when I speak from my nose? How persuasive do I sound when I speak from my mouth? Which one sounds the best? Well, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? The deep rumble of your money-making belly, that's where it's at. However, that said, it does not come naturally to people. So let's make it come naturally to you. Let's do a little exercise. So I'm going to go sideways to the camera so you can see what's going on more or less. What I want you to do is to stand up and bend over like at a 90-degree angle, okay? And put your hands on your belly and let your belly relax completely. Let it pooch out, okay? And let it just totally hang. And then go, you want to press it in with your hands and just let it loosen up. Okay, now stand up. And the secret of opera singers is that they actually have very relaxed bellies. This whole like, I am going to show off my 6-pack all day long that we have in LA, they don't do that. And now that you have your belly relaxed, just imagine your voice coming from there. And now all of you say together, this is what I sound like when I speak from the deep rumble of my money-making belly.
This is what it sounds like when I speak from the deep rumble of my money-making belly.
All right, so, and that makes a big difference. I mean, notice what happens when I come, chest, that sounds pretty good. But when I go all the way down to my belly, it's just got this resonance that sounds so much better. And the strange compliments I get are fascinating when I actually remember to speak from here. If I'm sitting on a bench, like the entire bench rumbles. And your audience feels that. Your audience perceives that as both strength and warmth. And you don't have to get crazy with it. I don't know if anybody watched the documentary on Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos, but she exaggerated her voice and went down one register, and so did Margaret Thatcher. So for the ladies, I don't think it's necessary to go that far. However, adding resonance makes a big difference. And for the men, if you have available to you a lower register, please go ahead and use that, because that is going to sound that much more charismatic, okay? This is how you convey vocal strength. You add resonance. Okay. Any questions about that part? We good? That's pretty straightforward. And I think everybody can agree that having a resonant and commanding voice is a huge advantage in this arena. Now, here's another thing that people do when they talk It's like they're trying to be persuasive, but they're like, hi, my name is John Roberts, and I'm the Executive Vice President at Amalgamate Incorporated. So what am I doing right now? That's so unbelievably irritating and also diminishing my persuasive ability.
The
What did I just-
inflection.
Yes. What about the inflection? What was I doing? Maybe it was a little upwards.
You're
Inflection.
ending the sentences by going up.
Exactly. So technically this is called up talk. And up talk, for whatever reason, is very common nowadays, especially among young folk. And what I'd like you to do is to expunge up talk from your talk entirely, because it doesn't help you at all. And there are differences between men and women here, and ladies tend to engage in up talk slightly more than men. Everybody does it, but what I've noticed is that my female coachees, they are using up talk a lot. And part of it is that we use up talk to coordinate speech between friends and level the playing field, not appear too imposing. However, when you are giving a speech in public, you're talking about your company, you're talking about your work, there is no good reason to diminish your own authority, okay? And it's also distracting. And the point was to minimize distractions. So what I want you to do is to get rid of your up talk. Instead of up talk, what do? We use this thing called the standard American melody, as my teacher, Bob Korf, taught me. And the standard American melody goes something like this. Goes up, down, down, further down. It sounds something like, show me the money. So we're now all going to practice together saying that phrase. You ready? All right, here we go. Show me the money. Show me the money. All right, let's go.
Show me the money.
Show me the money. Now, for some of you, this may actually be a little unnatural. It's like, ooh, that sounds too commanding. But that's exactly how I want you to sound. And to your audience, it does not sound commanding. It just sounds right. So when you say, hi, I'm the president of Amalgamate Incorporated. My name's John Roberts. It's like, what? The guy doesn't know what's going on here, right? You don't know the name of your own company? Of course you do. So everything you say it with the standard American melody, which basically sounds like a big old command. That will increase your vocal strength. Okay. And well, like, you know, I mean, you can get rid of like the standard American, you can do the standard American melody and stuff, and that's like really good and stuff. And, you know, I mean, that's like really good thing to do to increase like your like authority and stuff. But if you are doing other things like at the same time and like, what am I doing here? That's really irritating, like, you know, stuff.
Filler words.
What's going on there? Like stuff, you know.
Filler words.
Very good. Right, sir. These are called fillers. Now, look, I'm not here to crash down on you for the stuff that you've been doing up to now, because all of it is unconscious. We have these unconscious habits of speech. However, I'm here to bring it to your consciousness such that you stop doing this stuff henceforth. And fillers are terrible. Again, fillers, we use them when we're speaking to friends. It's a way to level the playing field, make things more familiar, but they do not enhance your authority. They do not increase your charisma. And it's super distracting. Principle 2, minimize distractions. When I'm like, you know, saying stuff like, you know, yeah, right stuff, sometimes 25% of the words that people say is filler, and you have to like sort through all of that. The message does not get through. So the key point is you do not want to distract from your core message. When you use fillers, you distract your audience. So how do we get rid of fillers? What's a good way to make sure that we stop using those fillers? And in the tradition of demonstrating the point as I'm teaching it to you, the technique is to pause. Instead of saying, you know, like, so, yeah, you just stop. You pause. And the great thing about pausing is it makes you look really authoritative. It's like, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And also, powerful people are comfortable making others wait for them. So when you pause, at a deep unconscious level, you are conveying a lot of strength. You guys get that? You guys get the power of pauses. Pauses are huge. So in all the coaching I've done, if there's one technique that turns around the entire picture of how somebody presents themselves, it's pausing. Because most of the time people are like, ah.
He just got kicked off.
I think it's a long pause.
Hopefully he'll be back soon.
I hope too.
There he is. You're back, Ali. You just need to unmute yourself, please.
And it says my internet connection is unstable, so let me reduce the amount of data happening here. I got rid of my self view. Okay, where were we? We're talking about pauses. So pausing is super powerful. It changes the entire picture of how you do things. It changes your neurology as you're speaking. So I encourage you to incorporate pauses in your speeches. Anytime you're speaking, just practice pausing. So, by the way, I'm going to be asking people to, if we have time at the end, to volunteer to practice some of these principles live. So if you would like to be the person who improves the most today, please volunteer when that is happening. Okay, so we did some strength, visual strength. We did some vocal strength. We did some verbal strength, getting rid of fillers, and storytelling. So another way to get verbal strength is to tell stories of agency. So I told you a story at the very beginning of this presentation, and it's about me in this situation, and I did something. I took action. So it was an underdog story. It was also a story of agency. So when you tell stories of agency, you will look stronger in the eyes of your audience, as opposed to stories of contamination. That's the actual term. If you tell stories of you just being downtrodden and losing, that's not good. We want you to tell stories that are underdog stories, but eventually you succeed. Okay, so that's very important. And what I want you to do now is to take 1 minute and think of a good story of agency that you can potentially use to tell during one of your presentations in the future. So think of a time when you were in a jam and you did something and the result came out reasonably good. Okay, so write that down so you have it. If you have more than one, write that down. And what I want you to do after we're done is to flesh that out and turn that into a 2 to 3 minute thing that you can actually tell people. And when you have your story, just signal that to me in the chat so we can keep going. All right. And really take a minute and dig deep, because all of you have so many stories that you've never mined. The story is there. However, you must find it, you must flesh it out, and you must practice it in order for it to be the powerful story. And stories make all the difference in your presentations. And what I encourage you to do is to have in your notes app on your phone or on a notepad, wherever you store these kinds of things, have a list. This is your story stack. And just anytime a good story comes to mind, put it down in there. And it could be somebody else's story. That's fine too. You read a book, you know, some guy was adrift for 67 days at sea, and, you know, he did a really good job of conserving his resources. Hey, that's a great story. I'm going to use that. Put that in there. Your own stories are even better. However, other people's stories are allowed to. Okay, good. And I want that to be a lifelong habit, basically. Just write down the stories, have them so you can use them when the opportunity arises. Stories are big business. I live in Los Angeles. There's this little thing called the entertainment industry around me, and billions and billions of dollars. It's all about stories. So when you tell good stories, great things happen. All right, let's talk a little bit about warmth too. So strength is important. Warmth is also super important. So when you come at people with a lot of strength, but it's just strength, you can be perceived as a bully potentially. You can perhaps think of some politicians who had a lot of strength but not a whole lot of warmth. If you have a whole lot of warmth but not a whole lot of strength, you may come off as kind of a wimp, right? But when you combine the warmth and the strength, now you've got something super potent, and the quality that people perceive in you is that of charisma, and the feeling that they have in you is that of admiration. So we want to get you to that upper right quadrant of warmth and strength together. To do that, I want you to become aware of the correlates of visual warmth. So again, I'm going to do things wrong, and I think I should stop. Let me put my video back on again here. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Okay, good. So there's stuff you can do with your hands, there's stuff you can do with your face that convey warmth. I'm doing them all wrong right now. So what am I doing wrong with my warmth? What is it about what I'm doing that is not conveying warmth at all? So what's going on here? Obviously exaggerating a little bit. What about my hand gestures? What's not so great about my hand gestures?
It seems kind of herky-jerky.
Okay, herky-jerky, that's one way of doing it. Yeah, it's choppy like that. Okay, good. What else? I mean, these are like, I'm jabbing at people effectively, right? How about my face? Is that warm? What do you think about that?
No, you're too stiff.
Yeah, there you go. I'm doing Robert De Niro. It's like, hey, you looking at me? What the hell, right? Okay, so in contrast, what happens when I say, hi, how are you? Like this. Okay, what am I doing here? So smiling is super powerful. Smiling is instant conveying of warmth. Okay, and then what else am I doing? I'm doing open-handed gestures. This is the gesture of, look, I do not have a tomahawk hidden in my hand. I will probably not hurt you right now. So this stuff all goes back to deep evolution, and this is how we convey those signs that, hey, you are safe. We are amongst friends here. Okay, so smiling is huge. And then eye contact. We talked about eye contact before. Eye contact is a way to convey strength. It's also a way to convey warmth. It's like, oh, I see you. I acknowledge you. You are a human. You're not just an inhabitant of this room or just another number. I actually see you. So 1,000, 2,000, 2 seconds or 3 seconds, eye contact, hold, and then move on. That works pretty well. Now, here's the thing. The hands are kind of problematic. People don't know what to do with their hands, and gestures are super powerful. So as I'm speaking, I tend to move my hands a lot. I encourage you to do that too. So don't lock your hands like this or hold them together or like this. Just make sure they're fluid, but what's a good place to put them? Because they have so much energy, they're conveying so much stuff. So what I tell people is, imagine you have a ball. This could be an exercise ball. That is very large. Hello, exercise ball. Or it could be a basketball, which is smaller, right? But if you are moving your hands as if they are describing the contours of a ball, you'll always be okay. And this is kind of a default position. I don't want you to be doing this all the time necessarily, but if initially you don't know what to do with your incredibly powerful hands, holding the ball is a nice, comfortable spot to be. And it makes your audience feel comfortable too, as opposed to jabbing, choppy motions, all these things. So fluid motions, fluid motions. So everybody stand up. Let's do some exercises. And I want you to do fluid, exaggerated motions with your hands. Go like this, go like that. And maybe you want to say something. Maybe we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. And just get a little crazy with it. But the idea is that in practice, you're going to be expanding your range of motion and doing stuff like this. So when you're speaking, you have a little bit of that still. You're not going to go completely crazy with it, but you'll get a little crazy with it. You're going to move around a little bit. And that way, just become comfortable with this expanded range of motion and use that. Does that make sense? All right, exaggerate now. So when you get to your actual speech, you know to actually use a full range of motion. Okay.
So Allie, I have a dumb question. You're getting ready
Yes.
for a meeting or a talk. Let's say you're in an office. What do? Do you go into the bathroom and lock yourself into a stall and do these exercises? Where do you do them?
Great question. So I recommend that everybody have a 10 to 15 minute warm-up routine before they go into any one of these things. Because look, you're going into this meeting that could potentially change the trajectory of your business, your life, everything. It can win you the case, win you the mediation, whatever it is. So is it worth warming up and preparing for 10 minutes beforehand? And I'll answer that for you. Hell yes, it is worth it. So this is what nobody else is doing. And in order to get the results that nobody else is getting, you will do the thing that nobody else is doing. So you will go and you'll go, you'll get the vocal exercises. I also have this other exercise. I call it the cork exercise. So what you do is you take this and you put it between your teeth, and then you're going to practice why I told you that story to the conversations required to channel thing for you read something for about 2 minutes. This opens up the back of your throat, makes you sound so much better. You do the expansion exercises, you do the star, which I just told you about. And all these things allow you to be totally ready when you go into that meeting. So 10-minute warm up makes all the difference in the world. And I'm giving you all the components of how to do that. And I have an online course. It's an 85 electric course. And a big part of that course is setting up your 10-minute routine and the various components of it. So you do that and boom, when you actually do that routine in the meeting, you will be bulletproof. This whole thing about, oh, I'm going to be anxious, and it doesn't even come up because you have changed your physiology. Once again, it's about embodied cognition. Your body feels a certain way, and therefore the right behaviors will naturally emanate from that physiology. Does that make sense?
Yes, I other than locking yourself into a bathroom stall, if you're in somebody else's office, I can't imagine where else you would do this sort of thing.
Well, you could do it in your car, you could do it in the parking lot before you walk in the building, or you could do it in the bathroom stall. I like that. But wherever you can do it, I encourage you to make sure you get in at least 5 minutes, but the full 10 minutes will make all the difference in the world. But when I'm going into giving a talk, I practice, I do my vocal warm up in the car going in there. And then you can, as you stand up out of the car, you can do a bunch of the physical exercises. So anything is possible. If you plan it ahead, you're much more likely to do it. But yes, great question. Thank you, Jeff. All right, more questions about this stuff. All right, good deal. So now another aspect of vocal warmth, and it's very easy to fall into these other routines which don't convey a whole lot of warmth. And when you talk like that, well, your audience can still hear you and you're conveying information, but really, are you connecting with them? Okay, what am I doing there that is irritating as hell? What was I doing that was diminishing my warmth exponentially? I can continue talking like that if you wish.
Monotone.
Yes, monotone. What is up with that? Why is that so bad? Okay, so that's prosody. Natural speech has a certain up and down to it, and that's what we call prosody. And if you go into robotic monotone mode and sound like you're just reading stuff off, you will lose your audience. And it's also super distracting. So what I want you to do is to exaggerate the prosody of your speech. You want to go up, you want to go down. You hear these Baptist preachers, my Lord, they're modulating their volume, they're stopping, they're slowing down, they're speeding up. So when you do that, what you're doing is you're waking up your audience's brain, because they have to pay attention because things are changing. When things are changing, that's information being conveyed and your brain lights up. It's like, okay, I need to pay attention to that. And that is a big component of vocal warmth. You want to be having that prosody of going up and coming down and slowing and speeding up, and all those aspects, that variability of your speech will make your speech sound that much more interesting. Okay. And we already talked about resonance, and we did the little warmth, the little belly exercise. You loosen up the belly, you make sure the voice comes from all the way down there. And really, it's just a matter of paying attention to it. You put your hand over there and you decide that your voice is going to come from there. Eventually, you will get better at it. And practice makes perfect. And that's another one of my huge principles, which is that rehearsal makes everything happen. So everything that I'm saying here right now, I'm loading a lot of data on you, and I do not expect you to do all of these things all at once. However, you can add one principle at a time and decide, you know what, today I'm going to focus on pausing. In this meeting, I'm going to have greater resonance in my voice. In this meeting, I'm going to have open-handed gestures. So you do one thing at a time, and eventually all this stuff comes together. All right, good deal. And also make sure you're interacting with your audience. So the more interactivity you have with your audience, the warmer you're going to seem, because it's all about connecting with your audience. And this is also a big part of presence. So warmth and strength seem pretty clear. I'm showing you what's happening visually, verbally, vocally. Presence, that seems a little slipperier, but it's also super important. For example, here's how you can not have presence. Well, you won by leaving the frame entirely, but also it's like, yeah, let me get to presence in a second. Okay, so these doohickeys, super distracting. If it's anywhere in the vicinity of your speech, it's going to distract you. So make sure you put those away somewhere where they cannot possibly distract you, and be fully present with your audience. So presence is grounded enthusiasm. So ungrounded enthusiasm looks like, okay, so that's too much enthusiasm, right? And super grounded without enthusiasm looks kind of stoic and like this. But grounded enthusiasm means you have energy and you're conveying it to your audience and they can feel it. So that's super important, because if you're not there with them, they're not going to be there with you. So grounded enthusiasm. For this, I'd like to do an exercise with you. Oh wait, we're almost out of time. So this is great. This is a great way to close it out. So everybody stand up. And imagine in front of you, there's a red circle, okay? And imagine a time when you felt super duper confident and super enthusiastic, like, yeah, doing something that you super duper enjoy. I don't know, maybe it's tennis, maybe it's cooking, maybe it's hiking, but just something that brings you a lot of enthusiasm. Okay, so imagine all that energy of enthusiasm and confidence. I mean, are you confident when you hike? Of course you are. You enjoy hiking, you're good at it. So pour all that energy into that circle, okay? That red circle. And imagine that circle gets redder and more saturated as you put more of that energy into it. So breathe in. As you breathe out, breathe all that positive energy of confidence and enthusiasm into that circle, okay? Notice how it's getting brighter and more saturated. Take another breath, breathe it in there. And when it's super duper red, what I want you to do is to take a step into that circle and boom, feel all that energy coming up through your legs into your body as you feel grounded into it and enthusiastic. as you step into your circle of power and go, woohoo, that feels great. And now I want you to step back out of it and notice what happens. Oh, all that went away. It's all in the circle still. And then take another step into it. Woohoo! It came right back. So that works pretty well, doesn't it? It's wild. So that's your circle of power right there. And if you just do that one little exercise right before you go on stage, boom, you've got the energy, you've got the groundedness, you've got the power. And it works. I don't know why it works. It just works. I mean, these are techniques that I use in my hypnotherapy and behavioral change practice, and they are super effective. It's all about harnessing your imagination to get your physiology to the point that the behavior you want flows from it naturally. Once again, it's all about embodied cognition. So, Jeff, we got 3 more minutes here. So I could wrap it up, or if you have a couple more minutes, I can give you guys a mnemonic device so you can remember all this stuff forever. So
Go
a
for
couple
it.
more minutes.
Go
Okay,
for it.
great. So fantastic. So who here? Remember, I gave you that random list of seemingly random list of things. Who here remembers at least one of the 10 items? Raise your hand. Okay, good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all 10 in order. Ooh, all 10 in order. That's going to be hard. So what if I told you right now that in the next minute, I will give you a way to remember all 10 of those items, not just in their entirety, but also in order. You would say, that is crazy. In 1 minute, how is that even possible? Well, thank you for your skepticism, because it's actually a lot easier than you think. It goes something like this. 1 gun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 sticks, 7 heaven, 8 crate, 9 wine, 10 hen. So now if I say, hey, what was number 6? You'd say 6 is sticks.
6.
If I say, what was number 3? 3 is tree. Fantastic. So as it stands right now, this is not terribly useful for you, but I'm about to make it super duper useful, because what you can do is you can take this number rhyme system and use it to remember anything that you want, any list that's 10 items long. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the principles that we learned today and stick it in this list so you remember it pretty much forever. So for example, 1 is gun. What I want you to imagine is that you're super strong and there's this huge gun on the floor. It's like, I don't know, a couple 100 pounds. You go, and you lift it up and you take up all the space like a big gorilla. So 1 gun is strength. That's how you remember strength and the various ways of opening up and taking up space. Okay, good. Number 2 is shoe. Shoe, what kind of shoe? Well, it's one of these fuzzy slippers. You put it in there and you're like, oh, that feels so warm. You put your hands up like this because it feels warm, and that's your warmth. And those are the visual correlates of warmth. How do you convey warmth? Open-handed gestures. 3, tree. Imagine you're sleeping under a tree and you look up and instead of fruit, it's got all these presents on there and they're all wrapped up and they're these boxes with sharp edges and one of them falls on your head. Ow, that hurt. 3, tree, presents. You're always going to remember that. Okay. 4, door. Imagine there's a door and you come to open it up and oh, it's so slimy. Oh, the handle, it's a fish. That's visual. Work with me here. It's all about puns and silly things. The sillier it is, the more you're going to remember it. So that's the visual correlates. And now you can think of all the different visual correlates of strength and warmth and bring those in. Okay. And number 5, hive. Imagine you have a beehive and oh my God, they're all singing opera. No, because that's vocal. That's the vocal correlates. And you can think of some of the vocal correlates that we use today. Okay. Number 6 is sticks. Imagine there's a bunch of sticks on the ground and they're spelling out a word. Oh my God, it's verbal. It's a bunch of words. 6, verbal. So now you got the 3 channels, you've got the 3 principles, and a couple more things you can remember. Number 7, heaven. Imagine up in the heaven, there's a tent and you're bringing that down into, it falls down onto you. Suddenly, you're engulfed in this tent. And that is intention. And that's what I want to close with today, which is that the biggest thing that people come to me with when I'm coaching them is they say, look, I get anxious. I go up there and I get nervous. I get stage fright. This is hard. And the way you fix that is via your intention. Why are you on stage? Why are you giving this talk? Are you doing it to make yourself look good? Are you trying to bully people into believing something? Or are you there to elevate your audience? Are you there to teach them something? And what I encourage you to do is to always think of your speeches, your public appearances as an act of service. You are in service to your audience. Your intention is to lift them up. Because when you go into that mode of serving your audience, then all the other stuff just falls away. You can't try to take care of your audience and worry about how you look at the same time. Your brain can only do one of those things. So get into that caring mode, get in that mode of being of service, and all of those other things will drop off. All the problems just fall away of their own accord. And that way you have the 3 big principles, which is to tell stories, minimize distractions, and be of service. When you do all 3 of those things, your charisma goes through the roof, your effectiveness goes sky high, and also you'll have a lot more fun doing all this stuff. So that's what I've got for today. Our hour together is up, and I have my course, which I haven't really told you about, and I'm sure Jeff, are you able to send them something afterwards about that?
Allie, we don't really do that, but if you would like to tell people how to stay in touch with you, please put it in the chat or announce what your email address or website is.
Yes, absolutely. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, so obviously I do some private one-on-one work, and also there's a course, Super Charisma, and that's an 83 lecture course that takes you through a whole lot more than we just talked about today. This is about 12% of what I cover. And yeah, check it out. And that's how you can get in touch with me directly. And I hope you got a lot of this, and I hope you're able to convey some of these principles to other folks. So you have a way of remembering those 7 principles, and you did them. It's in your bones. It's in your physiology. So go ahead and practice them, and let me know how it goes.
So, Allie, let me say, with pauses, with resonance, and in the standard American melody.
There you go.
Thank you. This was a tremendous presentation. We all benefited from it very much, and we appreciate it, and we thank you. For everyone who is interested, please contribute in Allie's honor to the Westside Food Bank. That's WSFB.org. Right, Natalie? I'm confident we will raise a lot of money to help fight food insecurity as a result of this wonderful presentation. Further information about Allie, he has announced it. The website is happinessengineering.com. Is that right, Allie?
Yes, happinessengineering.com is for my general work. And yes, if you want to know more about the speaker training, please get in touch with me directly.
Fabulous. And with that, we'll see you again next week, friends. We are complete.